Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. It's December the 26th, and this is a year-end recording for the top 20 biotech medical stocks for 2023. I wanted to give you some details on my list and show you why I picked them and why I decided focusing on biotechs and medical this year. I just feel like the way they're setting up, many of them look great. It was a tough time even narrowing it down to 20. But here we have ACLX, Arcellx, which back in May was trading only about $6 and exploded to 27, and then went sideways for 7 months, broke out again, and now it's wedging. There's no telling where a stock like this can go, but right now I have targets in the 40s, 50s, and 60s, and a measured move basis alone. It looks like it could be about 42, and then we'll see if it gets beyond that, but of course it can. And your stop on this one would be, first of all, we don't want to see it ideally below 27.5. AKRO, after a long decline, based out, broke out with a major breakaway gap, and a beautiful coil developed and never broke into the gap even. And that's where I put out a swing on it. But you can see the way the stock has been acting. Other than a quick dip a week and a half ago, it's come right back to the all-time high. And you can see that this stock might very well be in the 60s or even higher sometime this year. We'll see. On your support, I would have to put the last week's pullback at 35.80 underneath that support. Now CPRX has been in a wonderful long-term chart. It's gone from 2 3/4 a couple years ago into the high teens. I think it tagged 1990 on Friday, and you can see that, or should I say, yeah, right, last week. I'm looking for the stock to make it into the mid-20s for starters. That's the top of the channel, but this looks like it's accelerating and could be much higher over the next few months and during the course of the year, 2023. ETNB, big drop, taking it from the 50s all the way down to $2. What a recovery there after basing, coiling, breaking out, wedging. The stock's been stair-stepping its way higher in a rising channel. Now, it got hit last week like some biotechs did, but what a recovery from 7 to 10 in one day. Now it's 12. I'm looking for the stock to make it into the high teens and eventually retest the low 20s. HROW, something new that I've been watching carefully, and I love it. Look at this long-term chart. The highest level in 10 years. Now looking for a move that makes it high teens and then low to mid 20s eventually. A really nice looking overall chart pattern. And a breakout last Friday alone has me putting it onto the list for 23. IMVT, what a great looking chart this is. Long-term decline from 50 down to 3. Broke out in September, exploded from 4 into the $10 range, 150% move, and then a nice little coil. It's been stair-stepping a solid, steady channel ever since. I'm now looking for the stock to make it up into the high 20s, and at some point even more than that, we'll see. KDNY, after a 3-year base, basically, it broke out and coiled, broke out again, and now it's running. I really think the stock longer term has potential to be high 20s, low to mid 30s, and maybe high 30s to 40, if not more. On this one, I would say short-term pullback stopping points under 22. ORIC broke out after a long decline, which saw it go from the mid 40s down to single digits down there 2.5. Popped 5-wave corrected falling wedge or breakaway gap. And you can see the long-term chart may be reversing here. I believe it is. I'm looking for a move into the 7.5, 8 range, and eventually low teens. PCVX, what a wonderful long-term base, big breakaway gap, explosive move and coil, and then a breakout pullback. I'm looking for a stock that could be high 50s, mid to high 60s or more, or maybe much more. Support is this recent pullback low at 42.5. PDSB, wonderful run back in 2020, 21 when it went from under $1 all the way into the high teens in a 5-way move. And the pullback, double bottom breakout, breakaway gap, rising pattern, rising channel maybe forming. I'm looking for a stock immediately to go into that 13 range, eventually mid to high teens, if not more. REPL also breaking out of what looks like an inverse head and shoulders or rounding type bottom base. Breakaway gap, sharp run up and pullback retest, and now running up again. If we can get to the double top, I think the stock is going much higher. My target for this year is going to be mid-30s, maybe more. ROIV, beautiful base pattern breakout, flag, pop, and it's a 5-way movement. But I'm putting it on the list because I believe longer term, it's got a lot of room to advance and run maybe into the low teens and maybe even mid-teens. Rhythm, one of our best swings of the year, I'm putting on my list for next year. The stock, which has gone from a low in the $3 range in June, July, has made it into the low 30s, up to 30 and a quarter, 30, and now it's been consolidating right here. But break out of here, we're looking at a stock in the mid 40s, if not low to mid 50s at some point or more. Current support have to be the pullback low about 24.90. STIM, a nice double bottom base pattern, breakout, a nice run up, and now a platform. It just appears to me the new channel is forming. It looks like that. It puts this in your rising channel. I feel the stock extends, breaks out above the $7 range, runs into the near $10 range. Eventually, is going to be low to mid-teens. TERN, long-term decline, breakout, falling flag, ran up nicely and then backed off, but held there from the new channel. Right now, I believe the channel top tells me we're going to mid-teens, eventually low to mid-20s potentially. Current support is pullback low here at 723. VRDN. VRDN exploded, pulled back, ran up, has a rising pattern. It looks to me like it's headed higher. $33 is my near-term resistance, but I think from the standpoint of an overall multi-year base, it looks like something that has some big potential. 40s, 50s, 60s, none of that would surprise me on VRDN. VRNA also with a big breakout from a long-term declining pattern with an explosive move and a pullback, then formed a coil and broke out. Big strong momentum here, although it has pulled back recently. With momentum now and highs in the in the high 20s that move across 27 could spirit it into the mid to high 30s or more. WVE. V bottom with the platform after a long decline. And then we're stair-stepping our way higher. As you can see, this is a low price stock. I think has some big potential. 10, 14 or more of my intermediate to longer term targets. ZYME is a tech-rated swing. It broke out, it pulled back, and then popped again. I think the overall base pattern tells me after a long decline, it took it into from the high 50s into the single digits. The stock has a lot of room to recover, and I'm looking for some time this year to this be a $14 stock, if not in the high teens. And finally, ZYXI, as you all know, I've been talking about for 8 or 9 months. I used to have a big position. I exited it on this run up, as I told you, but now it's consolidating and looking ready for more, targeting 17, 21, and high 20s eventually. And your current support in this one happens to be around 13. But that's a look at the top 20 stocks, biotech medical stocks for next year. That's quite a big list, but that's what I'm looking to focus on next year, because I believe biotech medical stocks may be at the forefront if and when we do get another bull phase. For now, this is HBI. Have a great rest of your weekend, and let's see if this can work well for us next year.